Previously
Back,
on
okay.
Sorry, Ross, just waffling there.
Sorry, are you in the middle of theatre at the moment? Look like you're in an operating room there.
He was. He came out specially for us. Thank you, Ross.
Ross,
No worries.
Ross doesn't cut with a knife, does he?
No, but he's so highly qualified. PhD, nogal, not even. He's a real proper doctor.
As opposed to you, John, who like to hang around hospitals pretending to be one.
No, don't. I've never done that.
Of course you do.
Never worn a stethoscope or a white coat, I promise. Those were the old days. At the
You never
medical
walked into a theatre and told someone what to do in an operation.
Well, I've been wearing. I used to wear the green stuff, and then people used to mistake you sometimes as being a doctor.
Have you ever touched any implement and operated on someone?
An ILS stapler, an intraluminous stapler. Yeah,
Does
for
this
a
person know
bowel-anastomosis.
that you actually stapled their parts back together?
I don't think Ross really would want to hear that. But,
No, well, I don't think the person
anyway.
that it happened to would want to hear that either.
I would like to know which hospital that is so that I know to avoid it.
Yes, exactly. Which one was it, Johnny? Santon?
No, Darren Springs.
All right. Well,
that's...
Ross, I don't think we'll ever
Half
find
the course
ourselves
out
in
there.
Springs, but we never count anything out, eh?
Did you ever say scalpel?
Never have a car accident in Springs.
Jeez, yeah. Welcome to the show. Nice to catch up with you. Sorry, yeah. Well, where have you been? You've been busy in theatre, or in session, or what?
No, just meetings and stuff out of the building, So
Okay. Just
I'm
having
back now.
having a look at the whiteboard behind you. All makes absolutely no sense. Although I do see the name of Gert Small there. What's going on?
Scheduled for a prostate exam. Interesting.
You must be careful on visual radio. We can see what goes on behind you. Your whole strategy is now out there.
Yeah.
Ross, nice to chat to you. A couple of things. Someone actually mentioned your name the other day in terms, I think, of the whole Sharks travel issue. Do you want to touch on that one first? Was it basically the travel that was just too much for them?
Yeah, they probably didn't mention me kindly, but yeah, the thing there was after going over to Queensland and winning that first playoff match, then coming back, most people I think thought that they wouldn't do anything against the Stormers either, but they were good enough, I think, there to overturn what was already quite a substantial handicap. Because I looked at the history of Super Rugby and worked out that every time a team travels, they're probably about 5 points worse off than if they were staying at home. So the way I figured it,
In that case, the Sharks must have travelled via Mongolia,
Wow.
all those places this weekend.
Well, I mean, it must be cumulative because no one's
Yeah.
ever done that before. Gone 3 times in 3 weeks over the Indian Ocean. So the thing is that there's a cost then to traveling. So I mean, for me, the best way to illustrate that is to ask a fan to predict the score in the game, Sharks vs Chiefs, and then ask them, well, what would the score be if you were playing it at home without traveling? And whatever difference in score they give you is how much they think the cost is. And I figured it was probably between 15 and 20 points. Turned out I was on the low side.
Yeah.
But
But
that
you must remember, I think the fact is you got to factor in the points on both sides. So if you take like 5
Yeah,
points, and the Chiefs having to travel, there could be points on that side. So you got to factor it in twice.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, for the Sharks to go, even the first trip was unusual because it's so rare that a team wins a playoff match away from home in Super Rugby. I think it happened. Obviously, the Crusaders did it last year, and the time before that was probably 10 years ago. So to win one game there, then come back, that surpassed most people's expectations. And then I think this was just a bridge too far, and I guess in the end, not surprising. Disappointing because of the magnitude, but I think once they were 15, 20 points down, I think it just the travel just becomes more and more significant. So yeah, bridge too far.
Sorry, I'm not ignoring. I am listening to everything you say, but as you might have seen there, a visual promo for David Campese coming up after 5 o'clock. He just tried to Skype call us now, so I'm just sending him a message saying we're going to Skype in 10 minutes. Now, how will this affect some of those Sharks players? I mean, what is the sort of waiting time for or recovery time? Because these guys have got to now travel again, and they're going both ways. They've got to go to New Zealand, they've got to go to Australia, they've got to go to Argentina. There's a lot more travel left for a lot of these players because, as we've seen, there's a lot of Sharks players in the Springbok squad.
Yeah, that's a worry, really, because my experience has been with our players, certainly that I've travelled with, is it takes probably a couple of weeks after a trip to just adjust back to the time zones and get back into routine. Obviously, there's, on top of all this, there's the physical demand of playing 3 playoff matches in Super Rugby.
Yeah.
So I'd be very nervous to play those guys now. I think it'll be interesting to see whether they can make it through this championship without breaking down, and what kind of performances they deliver. But oftentimes you don't see the effects until much later. And I suspect that you'll find that the key Sharks players are not exactly going to be the guys we're going to look to for Springboks this year. And that's fair enough. I mean, what they've had to do, super difficult. I don't think there's a single sport in the world that asks players to do what they had to do.
All right.
And, so I wouldn't hold out too much hope that they'll get through this championship in good form or in good health.
But surely that's an inherent flaw then of the competition.
It's Ross, not Shirley.
Yeah.
Hey, Shirley?
Yeah, no, it is. Absolutely. The only other competition that I can think of where players travel as far is professional sport in the United States, because they travel 5 or 6 hours west coast to east coast.
Or if you're a bowler for Zimbabwe. Travel quite a long way there as well. But no,
nothing else. And this is, for us to have to go that far over and over, it's just physiologically it's huge. I wouldn't be surprised if a player's career is probably cut short by 2 to 3 years in this tournament, compared to if they were playing, say, Heineken Cup or somewhere where the travel is shorter.
The other thing is that they're saying the players are going to be playing Currie Cup this weekend. Now, gee, I cannot imagine the Sharks, I'm talking about them now, particularly playing their guys against, look, I know it's an easy game against Province, but still, you know, it's once again the fatigue of putting in a full 80 minutes.
I think Ross is down in Cape Town, eh?
Yeah, I can't see the Sharks doing that. I can understand why players from the other teams who haven't played Super Rugby for the last 2-3 weeks would play. I think that's probably important. But if the Sharks were picked, someone should have a word in their ear and say, listen, just in the interests of SA Rugby as a whole, let's give them a week off at least.
Yeah, but look, I mean, it's just a crazy schedule, because once again, you try telling that to a franchise that you know, you get off to a slow start in the competition. I mean, a slow start cost the Sharks basically this year in Super Rugby, because they had to play catch up all the time and managed to get through to the final. But you get off to a slow start in the Currie Cup, you're playing catch up again, so it just never ends. It's relentless, and as you say, that could be long-term damage for a lot of players.
Yeah, I think so. For me now, you're going to find lucky players who happen to get injured at the right time are going to prolong their careers. And I'm not saying they're going to fake the injuries, but
pull a hammy.
Players who get injured will have longer careers, because they'll only play 3/4 of matches a year, and that will allow them to add a year or two on. The guys who play all these games, it must be enormously draining.
Yeah. Obviously Jean de Jong coming in, JP Peterson out. And the answer from Heineken Meyer, that he saw JP obviously as one of his first choice wings, but also as cover for centre. So that's why he's brought Juan de Jong in, because he feels he might be a bit thin there. Listen, Ross, I don't know if you're available tomorrow, because we need a little bit of time to chat about Oscar Pistorius, and it's already after 5, so we've got to get into our headlines and stuff. Will you have some time tomorrow between 2 and 6? We can Skype you again, and then focus on Oscar and maybe some Olympic chat. Yeah,
absolutely. That'd be a pleasure. I mean, between 2 and 6 should work tomorrow. It's not a busy day. So
thanks, Doctor.
How much hate mail have you received since coming out of that?
Well, that's for people within athletics. It's been 4 years of that now.
Yes.
There's been enough. I remember my sort of boss here at the institute is Prof. Tim Noakes, and he got letters asking for me to be fired for saying that.
What?
So that's people get emotional about this one, so I'd prefer more time.
All right, well, word coming to some of the athletes are saying he has an unfair advantage. It's a chat all in itself. We don't want to squeeze it into a couple of minutes, so we'll chat to you again tomorrow afternoon. You'll let Johnny know what time, and look out for that tomorrow. We'll also be talking to Graham Hill tomorrow on the show. So thanks a lot, Ross. We'll chat to you tomorrow, boss.
Thank you, Ross.
Thanks, Darren. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Here we go. Ross Tucker from the Sports Science Institute joining us here on Balls Visual.
We the best on 3. 1, 2, 3. We the best.
2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mondays to Fridays live on balls.co.za. Balls.co.za.